Hello, Australian politicians are overpaid, out of touch, and spend too much time essaying women, but let's talk about the first part of that statement. A bunch of politicians all over Australia got pay rises today or recently. I'm going to start with the lowest paid politicians, which were Western Australian politicians who are still paid way too much. They recently got a 4% pay rise, and a number of them have said they won't be asking voters to give them another 4 years in Parliament at the next election because they feel they're not being paid enough. So, how much are they being paid? Minimum salary that they can get is $173,000 a year, and they think they're not getting paid enough. And they just got, a $1,000 motor vehicle allowance and a pay rise. The Premier gets paid almost $400,000 a year. This is keeping in mind that the average Australian salary is literally 3 times less than that amount, which is ridiculous. Like, you are getting paid way too much. You don't work harder than the average Australian and you get paid 3 times as much as them. It is also just a little under double the average Western Australian salary because Western Australians earn a lot of money. Starting salary for a teacher in WA is $78,000 and your politicians are earning almost 3 times as much as you. If that was me, I'd be pretty pissed off. This is, we're just getting started here. It gets even more ridiculous. And also, this is why politicians are all landlords, because it allows them to earn even more money on top of their already ridiculously high incomes. But we'll talk about that in a sec as well. Anthony Albanese, leader of Australia's alleged Workers' Party, is on over $600K. That's fucked. Base salary for a federal politician is now $233,650. An average worker's salary is $65,000. I do just want to remind you of that. Also sit tight for this one because the Governor General in Australia, who does literally shit all, is getting $709,000. What a time to be alive. Now, there's been a few people over time who've had perspectives on politicians' pay. One of them is a little-known man called Vladimir Lenin. He said the salaries of all officials, and he added this little bit, all of whom are elective and displaceable at any time, which I love, should not exceed the average wage of a competent worker. It's hard to argue with that. They don't work harder than the average worker. It's pretty fair. So let's just go back to Albo, who's now earning over $600,000. And this is from 2022, so I don't know what the stats are today, but owned a $5 million property portfolio. So he's earning over $500,000 a year, but he's also making income from this ridiculous property portfolio as a landlord. And that's on the nose. You should not be able to do that. That is ridiculous. This is why renters as a group will never see anything change, because these rich, out-of-touch landlords write the rules and write the laws about, being landlords. And, it benefits them. And they're doing really good. So, why would they change it? Anyways, love you all. Please feel free to grab some merch or join the Patreon if you can. If you can't, please don't do that. And remember that politicians do not represent us. They represent the interests of the rich.